Good morning. You are listening to First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the Internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240 News. The show will also be archived on FirstTitleServices.com and TitleCompany.com. First Title Services is a leading national title agency licensed across the country. Additionally, this show will be posted on YouTube.com. Our radio show mission statement: to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for real estate sales across the country. We're going to be talking about real estate, different real estate markets across the country. We've got a lot of topics today. We've got some great guests. I do want to go back and tell you about my trip to Indianapolis last week and brought WFOY with me, which was pretty cool. Went to the National Auctioneers Association conference and actually brought all the radio show equipment to do a live broadcast at the conference. There was about 1,000 people there with auctioneers and exhibitors and press and media, and was able to do a live show there last Friday. It was pretty exciting, and I just got done talking with the radio station manager just 5 minutes ago. When you take radio show equipment, you need a big box, and it's a black box, and it's a heavy box, and of course I'm flying, and so there's a whole bunch of cords, there's microphones, there's hookups, there's headsets, there's all kinds of stuff to be able to put together a show basically 1,000 miles away from the radio station. And so the box was on the plane, and it got there. Thank heavens! I was very pleased to see that box come off the baggage claim, and so I took it to my hotel. And then when it was time for Friday morning, I opened it up, and it was just in a shambles. All of the cords were crazy, tied up and knotted up and tangled, and of course I had a show to go on at 10 o'clock, and it's always new to do a remote. You've got to find electricity and try to find a place that's kind of quiet, and it's all tangled up. And there in the box is a note from TSA saying that they opened it because it looked suspicious, or whatever they do. And so that was my trial and tribulation. On the way home, I actually stopped in Atlanta on the way home, and so it was a leg, and so there were 2 TSA notes in the box, and of course it was all jumbled up again and tangled, and anyway, so if you are taking radio show equipment on a plane, just remember to save some time when you get to your destination, because it will have been gone through, it will be looked at, and fortunately we've passed the test, not only for the TSA, but also in the Indianapolis Marriott, JW Marriott. Again, great interviews, and I thank the NAA, National Auctioneers Association, for allowing me to be there and broadcasting. All right, we had a line open. Good morning, you're on the air.
Hey, Doug, Mark Manley.
Mark, hey, I was just talking about my trip to Indianapolis and taking all the radio show equipment and having it go through the airports and TSA opening it up and all the cords crazy tangled up by the time I got to Indianapolis, but enough about that. Tell us, Mark, for our listeners, who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Well, I'm an auction coordinator with Rowell Auctions out of Moultrie, Georgia. I've been with them about 21 years now.
Well, you and I were in Indianapolis, and it was great to spend time with you and your wife Sherry, and I enjoyed that very much. Tell me a little bit about Rowell Auctions, if you would.
Rowell Auctions is a national auction firm. If we specialize in anything, Doug, it's real estate. We do a tremendous amount of real estate work, do a lot of work with the bankruptcy courts, do a lot of work with banks, estates, receiverships, private individuals, corporate liquidations. And then we also do a limited amount of personal property in the mix of that.
Okay. And I know you're a national company and do work all across the country, but tell us a little bit about why would a bank want to hire you and sell properties? Tell us why an auction company would really help them in many ways.
Well, Doug, as we have suffered and endured through the real estate downturn for the last 5 years, as you know, the banks have just been inundated with real estate inventory, REO, real estate owned, which is properties that they have foreclosed on.
Okay.
And the banks, through traditional brokerage methods, have simply not been able to move the inventory of properties as quickly as they could. When a bank acquires properties, a lot of times those properties are basically abandoned by the former owner. And the bank incurs incredible expense, incredible holding costs with those properties. So the sooner that they can move their inventory back out into the private sector, the less cost or the less loss they will have in that property. And an auction is just a tremendous tool for doing that. Typically, from the time that a bank contacts an auction company, you're looking at 60 days to market the property, get to auction, and then roughly a 30-day closing period. So you're really only talking a 90-day holding period that a bank has to endure if they choose to go the auction route, where, as you know, with traditional brokerage, sometimes that holding period can be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months.
And more, Mark.
And more. A lot of them, and a lot of these banks have inventory that they've held more than that.
Yeah. And I want to say, because, as you know, I used to work with you and been in auctions a while. It is interesting because people don't understand that it's actually costing them to hold the property. And I'm not saying this is an indictment on real estate brokers, because a lot of time they're getting a listing and real estate brokers are saying, yeah, I want a listing. And then the bank says, okay, we want you to list it at, pick a number, $100,000. And the real estate broker says, boy, that looks a little high, but all right, we'll give it a shot. And, especially in a market that's not growing, 10, 15% a year, so it's like keeps on going up and up and up. I mean, you're going to have challenges, and so what really happens is you hold it, and you're not going to get that much interest, and then you got to go back to the bank, and the bank says, all right, we'll take it down to $95,000. And then, so I guess my point is, if you go to auction and you advertise it right, then you're going to get competition, you're going to get people that are interested, and just like you said, 90 days later, you're going to have a sale. And the most important part is that the bank doesn't have to continue with the holding cost. So that's a win-win, and it's and you've been in the business for 21 years. You are highly recognized in the field of auctions, bank property sales, bankruptcy sales, and so you know a lot more about this than most people. What are some of the holding costs that a bank might have when they get a property into their department?
Well, the first thing that you always think of, Doug, is your taxes.
Okay.
Your county ad valorem taxes on property. And that can be substantial enough, but then you also have insurance costs.
Okay.
Some of the unknown costs that you have to incur are deterioration of the property,
okay.
vandalism, which has become a horrible problem.
Yes.
With theft of air conditioning units,
yes.
Actually going in and stripping the copper wiring out of a home,
yep.
which may destroy the sheetrock.
Not just a home, but a commercial property.
Commercial properties as well. I mean, I'm actually in Augusta, Georgia today doing a open house on a bankruptcy, and the last time we did a commercial liquidation up here, there was a situation where the building had a sprinkler system in it, that the building had 30 feet eave height.
Okay.
The sprinkler system was in the ceiling, and vandals came in and stole the sprinkler system from the ceiling of the building.
Oh, my God.
Incredible work.
Yeah. And you've got, liability issues. If the property becomes a hangout for less desired element, I mean, that's a situation that you have to deal with. And a bank really isn't in the real estate business, is it?
No, banks aren't in the real estate business. They're in the lending money business. And that leads us to talk about another cost that the bank incurs.
Okay.
And that's their lost opportunity cost.
Ah.
When they are owning real estate that needs to be converted to cash, that's money that they're not being able to lend.
Yep.
That money is tied up in the real estate. Bankers are great. They're very knowledgeable.
Yep.
They understand real estate for the most part, but they don't understand the sale of real estate. And that's the reason that it is so important to hire a professional team when it gets ready to sell. And as you said, no indictment on traditional brokers, because a lot of times, the mindset of the buying public is that traditional real estate sales are negotiated.
Mm-hmm.
You start at a higher price,
yep.
and you negotiate down.
Yep.
Where the auction mentality, and auction creates urgency simply by the word auction, you take that and you completely flip it 180 degrees, and you bargain from the bottom up. As we like to say, it doesn't matter where the bidding starts, it's where it ends that matters. Because you may start on a $100,000 property, bidding at $50,000, $75,000, and you're going up, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Completely different mindset.
And it works. It definitely works for institutional and government assets. And I know this is an area that Rowell Auction continues to be a leader in across the country. So, again, kudos to you. But talking about government, you're at a bankruptcy auction preview. Do you mind telling us a little bit about the property and what's happening?
Well, this is actually not a real estate asset.
Okay.
It was a company called Tri-Check Seeds,
okay.
which was a wholesale seed dealer that also sold lawn and garden supplies, animal feeds, gardening tools, fertilizers, chemicals, and unfortunately, the ownership of this company in the economic downturn that we're in,
right,
was not able to continue with their business. Second generation business, long-standing, well-known firm, and what actually drove them into bankruptcy was the foreclosure of their real estate.
I got it.
So they ended up having to move hundreds of thousands of items of inventory into a 30,000 square foot storage warehouse that we're actually liquidating the inventory from there. And it's just one of those situations where I can't help but wonder how good the auction process would have worked for this company if they had hired us early on before they went to bankruptcy.
Yep.
And we could have sold their real estate, we could have sold their equipment, and I just really believe at that point we could have generated more money for the creditors in this case than what's going to be generated now because all the assets were fresher.
A great lesson learned, and I'm going to say from the time all the problems occurred, you tell me, it could have been 6 months, could have been a year, could have been a lot longer, and time is money, as we've already discussed, and cost, and so.
Well, Yeah, it's roughly been a year, and it's like you said, you got deterioration of the assets that occur during that year time. That is one thing to me, Doug, that in this industry is somewhat frustrating, is that we need to move the clock along faster, and that's the thing that does draw me to auctions. You know, I look at the situation going on with the bankruptcy of Detroit right now.
Yep.
We've all seen the photographs of the deterioration of the inner city of Detroit. You know, and I literally sit back and say, there's an auction company somewhere, and maybe I need to be looking at myself and saying, why not me?
Right.
But there's an auction company somewhere that needs to be approaching the city of Detroit and saying, look, you need to sell assets to pay your debt.
Yes.
You know, I literally heard on the news this morning where Detroit employs a farrier to shoe horses, but yet they do not own a single horse. They don't have a horse to shoot. And that kind of mindset, we need some real-life, day-to-day thinking going on in our government, in our corporate structures these days, that says, let's convert these assets to cash. Let's put these assets back in the hands of the private citizens where that they can generate tax revenue, and we can move forward to stimulate this economy.
Well, not only on that particular property that you're discussing, and Detroit is an example, you got a government surplus property, and it's vacant, and it's costing many dollars a year just to maintain it and keep it up. And again, it's probably deteriorating. And if you could sell it, you got money coming in, and the benefit of the fact that you are no longer having to maintain it and pay for it. And then you've got somebody from the private sector that's going to make it into a better property than it is now, and they're going to pay taxes.
Absolutely. It's common sense, and I don't understand why other people don't think like you and I do.
Well, they're wrong, Mark.
I'll agree with that.
So you're at a bankruptcy deal. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes. Sometimes it's personal property, sometimes it's personal property and real estate, sometimes it's just the real estate. What's your favorite bankruptcy real estate deal? And you've been around for a while, if you can remember what you think was a fun one. Well,
Doug, I mean, there have literally been hundreds of them over the course of my career. I was involved in one a couple of years ago that there was real estate and personal property involved in that one. That actually became a bankruptcy out of a receivership, and we were able to sell a group of collector cars in that one, which garnered international attention. Actually, we sold some of the cars internationally, sold some 1969 Mustang GT 400 Boss for $245,000, which was the highest price car I had ever sold.
Right.
And that was a lot of fun. Plus, we were able to sell the real estate where these cars were stored. We're currently working in a case that we have just completed the sale of a private security firm that was providing security services to the U.S. government.
Okay.
And we completed the transfer of about $500,000 worth of weapons from one company to the next in that, which was very interesting as well. One thing that I've become very well known for is asset recovery, whether that be personal property assets or real estate assets. And it's simply from working in so many cases, going in and doing inspections for individuals or for attorneys or for bankruptcy trustees and saying, look, you've got value here, you need to sell it. Or, as in the case of one that we worked on middle of this week, where we determined for a bank out of California that there was no value and that they needed to abandon the assets and move forward.
Okay.
And either way, it was a win-win situation because the bank that we recommended they abandon their assets will not have any more cost associated with that. They'll take the one-time abandonment cost, and then they don't continue to have their losses in trying to recover assets that are located all the way across the United States.
And no more liability issues.
No more liability issues.
Yep. Yep. That's
simple,
that is simple.
Yeah.
Tell us, because I know Rowell Auctions has a lot of properties and real estate auctions that will be coming up throughout the year. How do they go and find out about those auctions and the properties and the pictures and the information and how many bedrooms and how many commercial square feet is in that warehouse, that type of thing?
Well, it's the simplest way is just to go to our website,
okay,
which is www.rowellauctions.com. Everything that we do, every auction that we have coming up is listed there.
Okay.
You can go to the website there. They can register for our email blast, where they get a weekly email blast of all of our upcoming auctions. It's all the information about a property is posted there. You know, we obviously do other advertising other than that, but for a one-stop source to see what's coming up, that's it.
Well, that's excellent, and I think I remember the telephone number too, 800-323-8388.
That's it.
And again,
Allison, and she's wonderful.
Allison is wonderful. So RowellAuctions.com for excellent professional real estate auctions across the country, and you're listening to Mark Manley, who's one of the leaders in the auction profession across the country. Mark, thank you so much for being on the show today, and again, it was great to see you in Indianapolis last Friday.
Doug, it was great to see you also, and I hope to see you again soon.
All right. Take care, Mark.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That was Mark Manley, again, of Rowell Auctions. He has been in the business for 21 years, a recognized expert in bankruptcy and bank disposition. He gets it as far as you can't hold on to property because it continues to deteriorate. It continues to have issues as far as liability. It continues to have issues as far as holding cost. And that can be as easy or as hard as, mowing the lawn, fixing the pool, vandalizing the property, so now you got to fix the air conditioning, you got to replace this. Meanwhile, around the neighborhood, those prices are going down because you get a property that is not being taken care of properly. The prices are going down until that is sold, and so that's my message for today for banks and government agencies. Contact a good real estate auction firm who's been in the business for a while. And, of course, Rowell Auctions has been in the business for over 75 years. RowellAuctions.com, and the number is 800-323-8388. We're going to go for a break, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. You're listening to First Title National Real Estate Radio Show, broadcast every Friday, live from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. We just had Mark Manley, who's from Rowell Auctions in Moultrie, Georgia. He was on a bankruptcy case up in Augusta, Georgia. He was kind enough on a Friday to spend some time talking about bankruptcy auctions and bank auctions and what happens when you leave a property unattended, how values go down, how vandalism goes up. So, Mark Manley, thank you so much. I'd like to take this time to try to do some national news, but we've got a caller, so we'll try to get back to that in a minute. Good morning. You're on the air.
Doug, good morning. It's Mike Buck calling from Denver, Colorado.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for calling in, and it's wonderful to hear from you. I was with Lewis Fisher yesterday, and we were talking about you and Linda Lona and the great crew that you had in the Denver, Colorado area when we did business many, many years ago. But first, tell us what you do and exactly, I know you're not exactly in Denver. Where are you?
Well, we are down in a suburb of Denver called Castle Rock.
Okay.
It is south of Denver between Denver and Colorado Springs. And we own a Coldwell Banker franchise. We're one of the only independently owned franchise operations in the metro area.
Mm-hmm.
About 10 brokers in our office, and we concentrate predominantly in the South Denver, Douglas County area, but we sell homes all over the metro area and predominantly deal at the high end of the luxury market, 700,000 and above.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. So tell us a little bit about the Denver market. The whole country went through, great rising prices and then unbelievable crash. Not all markets got hit as bad as other markets. I always kind of pick on California and Florida as the golden children who go up and then they crash down. But tell us about Denver.
Well, we got spanked like the rest of the country. I think our spanking came a little bit later in the cycle.
Okay.
It wasn't quite as severe. But we did experience quite a downturn. But I'm happy to report the Denver market is back and is extremely healthy, getting better daily. Our product at the lower end, I would say from 400,000 and below. If you price the property competitively and it's ready to go to market, they're flying off the shelf. And we're experiencing a similar kind of phenomena up to about $1 million. When you get into the rare air of, let's say, $1 million plus, there has been strong activity in the luxury market, but it's a little slower coming back. But we're seeing a resurgency. So I'm happy to report good things are happening. I think just a quick synopsis would be our overall closed sales year to date for Denver is up 19%.
Wow.
Our days on market have gone down by almost 40%. And we have almost 17% less listings on the market than we had last year, which creates great urgency for buyers out there. There's not a lot of inventory available, and when inventory hits the market, people need to jump on it. Our average sales price for a single-family house metro-wide has gone up about 8% year-to-date. So good things going on. And the condo market is very, very similar. The numbers are very, very are tracked very similarly. So we got good things going on in this market, and thank goodness.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, and I'm hearing a lot of that across the country. Again, some are crazy going up, but some are slowly going up, and it seems like nationwide good things are happening. How has mortgages been? Have they been easy to get? Are they still tough to get? What's happening with mortgages in your area anyway?
Well, there's a lot of competitive money in the market.
Okay.
Coming to the market. So finding mortgage money is it's available. Of course, the qualification criteria is very stringent and very tough, and I think buyers are having to really bare their souls to prove their credit worthiness. But that's happening, and we see no indication of a pullback. In fact, there's new lenders that have popped into the market, and we're aggressively aligned with a regional bank by the name of Colorado State Bank and Trust. They're headquartered out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they do a wonderful job of providing very competitive market money to professionals, and we've got a great doctor program through them. In fact, doctors can take advantage of just an extremely nice financing option, which which sometimes includes no down payments if they can prove they got a good job and they're here to stay in this market. So I'm not seeing rates have popped up a little bit, and that doesn't seem to have affected anybody, at least at our price point, nor at the lower end.
Okay.
I think our big quest here is we just need more inventory.
Well, that's always a good thing when real estate brokers are saying we need more inventory compared to I've got so many properties and no buyers. So that is a good thing for you, and I know you're so strong in that market that if there is somebody that wants to sell something, they're looking at you first. Tell us a little bit about Coldwell Banker, if you could.
Well, of course, Coldwell Banker is an internationally known real estate franchise operation and corporate operation. I think we do business in about 52 countries. There's approximately 100,000 agents in that network. In the Denver area and Colorado area, we're the number one real estate company when you include all the other franchise operations along with the corporate organization that operates here. We're by far and away the leader in total sales and by far and away the leader in luxury home sales.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very strong franchise, and we're very, very proud to be part of that franchise.
How long have you been with Coldwell Banker?
We bought our business in 2004, put our company together, and became a franchise operation in 2008.
Okay,
and,
nice.
Since 2008.
Very good. Well, I know you from the 1990s and maybe even a little bit after, but tell us, you were involved with the FDIC and you were a big VIP in the Denver market. You were the man, and when Lewis and I were looking for auctions, we would come to see you, and you had all these properties. But tell us a little bit about your experience there, because that must have been such a great learning event for you to have all these assets coming and going, all these different staff members, all kinds of issues. Tell us what you did, and it's a great story, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, I was lucky enough to have had the opportunity to go to work for the FDIC for a short period of time during the S&L crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And their big charge in Denver was to liquidate all the assets of Silverado Savings and Loan, along with other smaller institutions. And I became head of the real estate department, and in that capacity, we had probably 3,500 to 4,000 assets that we were given the charge of marking them to market,
mm-hmm.
and then figuring out the best way to get those assets sold. And we were lucky enough to have met you and Lewis in your prior companies. And
yep.
I had never worked with an auction company before. You guys gave me an education 101. I got my bachelor's degree, my master's, and my PhD working with you gentlemen. We were very, very successful. Give you all the credit for it. You orchestrated those very well, and we sold, probably 1,000 to 1,500 assets under your stewardship. And my recollection of our percentage of appraised value that we achieved was very high. It was in the 92, 94% range, and so great experience, great learning experience on another clever and ingenious way to move assets during a time that the market was really, really pretty sour here in the Denver area. So that was my FDIC experience, and I'll always have fond memories of both you and Lewis and all the wonderful results and lasting friendships that we developed.
Well, yeah, that's it's been a long time since those days in the ballroom in Denver, and again, lasting friendships between you and I and Lewis, and again, Linda Lohner was key in that area. Was Janet Lingle in your office too? We were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, Janet Lingle was in our office. She was one of the critical account officers at that time, and we've stayed in close contact. She's in the Boston area and affiliated with a large company back there doing a lot of property management and sales. So
nice.
She's doing very well.
Well, very good. If you see either of them, tell them that Lewis and I were talking about them yesterday, because we were reminiscing and all the good times. And I said, hey, I got Mike Buck on the show tomorrow. So tell us what you think. Put your crystal ball mindset on what's going to happen in your area anyway in the next 2 years. Give us your crystal ball deal.
Well, I'm very encouraged about our market in general. We've got good job growth occurring. It's not dramatic job growth, but it's good, steady job growth. And just like these home price increases, I'm really scared when I hear reports about the average price of home sales going up, 20, 25%. That's not healthy, and all that does is, in my mind, set the stage for another downturn. Our growth here, both on the home sales price and job market, is just very slow and very steady. Colorado is got all the right puzzle pieces with a world-class airport, Denver International Airport, and we're building major infrastructure of light rail that will go out to the airport that connects to a great network around the city. All the puzzle pieces of the mountains, the summer recreation. Colorado is just a great place to live, raise your kids, and operate a business. And I think we're going to see continued very steady growth here, barring some large, horrible national event like a war or something of that sort. So yeah. I'm very optimistic. And to top it off, we've got Peyton Manning back for
absolutely
for one more season, and doggone it, we just might win a Super Bowl this year if everybody stays healthy.
You also got Wes Welker, and Wes Welker is going to help you guys a whole bunch. That guy catches 100 balls a year, and he will get right in sync with Peyton really quick. So you are exactly right.
Yep. If nothing else, he'll cause Belichick some heartaches when we beat him. So
for sure.
Just looking at him in a Bronco uniform.
For sure, that is exactly right. Again, you are the man in Denver. How do people get a hold of you, and so they can buy property, sell property? What's the deal?
No problem at all. Our company is, again, Coldwell Banker Castle Pines. Our website is very simple, castlepines.com.
Okay.
Our phone number is 303-688-6100. And you can reach me there anytime, and we would love to answer questions and help anybody with any real estate needs they might have.
Well, you are the man again and the source. If you're talking about real estate in Denver, again, Mike Buck, the owner of Coldwell Banker, Castle Pines, in the Denver area. Mike, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you down the road.
You got it, Doug. Thanks for inviting me on, and it was a pleasure. You take care. Have a great weekend.
You bet. Bye-bye now. All right, Mike Buck, let's go for a quick break.
First Title and Escrow is a national leader and pioneer in the title industry. The firm specializes in title insurance, title examination, property information, escrow services, and other management solutions in more than 40 states. Their residential and commercial real estate experience includes work with government agencies, asset managers, banks, auction companies, developers, portfolio buyers, real estate firms, and the private sector. To contact First Title and Escrow, please call 866-484-8537 or visit FirstTitleServices.com.
All right, we're back. You're listening to First Title National Real Estate Radio. I am your host, Doug Dennison. What great guest. We had Mark Manley on, who's from Rowell Auctions in Moultrie, Georgia, and then followed up by Mike Buck, owner of Coldwell Banker, Castle Pines in the Denver, Colorado area. Good people, all big VIPs in the real estate area, and that's what we tried to do. We tried to give you the top people across the country in the real estate markets. Again, our radio show mission statement is to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for real estate sales across the country. Again, First Title, great company. Go on titlecompany.com. Great company. Glad that I'm affiliated with them. Steve Papermaster and Pam Gibbons are the top people in that company, licensed in 38 different states, and have great resources around the country to do your real estate title and escrow services. And so call us, please. I was starting to get into some of the news across the country, and Mike Buck talked a little bit about it, talk about mortgage rates. But according to dsnews.com, and again, DS News is a wonderful website. You want to go on there. You want to get on their daily dose, which is an email that will go out to you with the top real estate and default servicing, which is REO and loans and all kinds of good stuff like that. And it's for free. So go on dsnews.com. But I've got a story by Tory Behringer that mortgage rates stepped back again. And they had been going up, but now they're going down a little bit for the second straight week. And we've got another caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Doug. It's Brad Thomas.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for being on the show. And we've had you on the show before, and we wanted you back because you are such a expert in your field. So let me give you the limelight here. Tell us what you do, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Doug. And as you recall, I was on the show last time I was on vacation, a weekend vacation, and now I'm on another weekend vacation. So we're splitting up the vacations on the weekend. So
good for you.
Calling you from the car, but yeah, I do. I guess you could call myself an expert in REITs. I've been in real estate for 25 years. I've really practiced all of the sectors from leasing to brokerage to development. And now in addition to working in the investment banking side of the business with Bull Realty in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm also a contributor for several publications, including Seeking Alpha, The Street, Forbes, as well as the Motley Fool.
Well, those are big media sources, and that's great. And I've been on your website, and there's a picture of you and Donald Trump. I mean, that's pretty good PR.
It is. I was actually talking to my wife earlier about that. I've known. I read Mr. Trump's book about 20 years ago, and I never envisioned that I would be as close to him as I am today. But I really enjoy that relationship, and he's certainly been a mentor for me.
Well, tell me what a REIT is first, and again, we have a wide range of listeners: real estate people, banking officials, media. But tell us what a REIT is.
Sure. REIT is an acronym for Real Estate Investment Trust. And, of course, REITs were formed in 1960, so over 50 years ago by Dwight D. Eisenhower as part of what's called the Cigar Act. So, but the REITs were formed for the very reason that they are utilized so often today. And, by the way, there's $600 billion today in capital in the U.S. market, that's equity REITs only. So we certainly have evolved from 50 years into an industry now that is $600 billion in terms of market capitalization. So it obviously REITs today exist as they existed over 50 years ago, so that the average person could gain access to real estate, in the form of security. And the reason the security element is so important is because they're securities, you get diversification, you get transparency, and most importantly, you get liquidity. And that's basically the value proposition for what a real estate investment trust is.
Well, you are, again, the man in regards to REITs. I want to kind of make this into a weekly type of thing that you call in, kind of give us a tip of the week or an area that you want to focus on. What do you want to focus on this week?
Great. Well, thank you, Doug. And I guess, I was up late last night, until around midnight, writing an article which actually showed up today on Seeking Alpha.
Okay.
And this it's a little fresh on my mind, as long as I don't go to sleep. But this, what I want to talk about is realty income. Realty income is, and the ticker symbol or the symbol is O. Pretty easy to remember. But realty income is a triple net, or some call a freestanding REIT. In other words, they invest in single-tenant properties like drugstores, auto parts stores, Walmart, Target, and so forth. And Realty Income's been around for over 20 years. The company's been public for 19 years. And their earnings just came out yesterday, so that's why I was up late last night writing this article on the company.
Got it.
The interesting thing about Realty Income, Doug, in the second quarter of 2013, they closed on around between $700 and $800 million of properties. But what was really amazing is they sourced, in other words, they looked at over $15 billion of real estate. Huge amount of supply in the market today. Company this size, their market cap is around $12 billion today. Their stock's trading around $45 a share. They're paying just under a 5% dividend. But just an amazing story. And what it really boils down to with this company, Doug, is diversification.
Okay.
They've got over 3,700 individual properties in 49 states. There's no other real estate company that I know of that has that deep of a diversification platform.
Well, that's a great tip. And you do a newsletter that comes out that you can subscribe to. How do they find out about that? Because, again, you write and have the best information and the quickest information, the most updated information. How can people get on your website and find out how they can subscribe to your newsletter?
Great. And first of all, I meant to say I should disclose I do own shares in Realty Income.
Okay.
I normally write that on the radio.
Yep.
So I am an investor in the company. And absolutely, you can go to my website, which is www.theintelligentreitinvestor.com. Again, www.theintelligentreitinvestor.com. And we've got all of our articles posted there, as well as our newsletter, which is a bargain at $99 a year.
That is a bargain, and I know I've already seen many articles. They're updated, and you've got VIPs that say that you are the one to subscribe to because it's the best information. One of them is Donald Trump, and that's not bad. Who else is on your website that is saying wonderful things about you?
Sure. Well, the great thing about my job and what I love is that I get to interact with many high-level CEOs and senior executives for some of the best real estate companies, public and private, in the world. So, it's companies like, you've seen my picture on the website, like Steve Tanger, the CEO of Tanger Factory Outlets, or Dave Henry, the CEO of Kimco, or certainly Milton Cooper, the founder and chairman of Kimco, Tom Lewis, Realty Income. There's 140 equity REITs out there. And, I can't talk to all of them, but I've got a pretty deep Rolodex of these contacts, and I'm in touch with these CEOs on a very regularly basis. I interview them quite often. And one thing I will tell you, I learn a lot of what I learn is really coming from a lot of that knowledge comes from Ben Graham, the value investor, who wrote the book, The Intelligent Investor, hence my website, The Intelligent REIT Investor.
Right.
One of the things that Ben Graham often said is this: the most durable form of education is self-education. And that's exactly why I love what I do, because, all this knowledge that I get, it's not me. I just soak it up from all these smarter CEOs who do this every day, and they make that for a living. And so that's really my platform in a nutshell.
We've got to go, but give us your website one more time.
Absolutely. www.theintelligentreitinvestor.com. And, Doug, thanks again for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. Take care. Have a great weekend, Brad.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Brad Thomas. He is the CEO of the Intelligent REIT Investor. Good stuff. He is well recognized in the field of REITs. He just interacts with the top people in the world of real estate, and Donald Trump, and he named 4 or 5 other people. They are great. I want to thank Mark Manley from Rowell Auctions in Moultrie, Georgia. I want to thank Mike Buck from Coldwell Banker Castle Pines in Denver, Colorado. And also I want to thank Brad Thomas, CEO of the Intelligent REIT Investor. We will be back next week. Thank you for listening. Have a good weekend.